Hey everyone. Because I know you're pathetic and lazy and stupid and whatever, I figured another way to sort of spread the word about the latest column I wrote over at Lit Reactor would just be to read the entire thing out loud to you. That's what I'm gonna do. But if you do actually get something out of this, or want me to have a job there in the future and stuff, spread it around, let everybody know. Go over to the actual column and make a comment or something. It'll be on the front page for a little while. So if you see this in the next couple days, just do it. Even if you don't watch or listen to this, just do it. Okay? Who cares? You're not like some crazy tastemaker who, oh, everyone will see that you recommended this column that's really not that good. No one cares. Trust me, nobody cares. You're not that important, so just do it. I'm telling you that it's important to me, but not important to anyone related to you. So this column is called Mistakes I Made with My Self-Published Book Covers. This comes from a very real place. I've committed the worst sin of self-publishing. No, not failing to hire an editor. Well, okay, I did that one too, a bunch of times. No, not falsely representing myself to try and get my books on digital platforms used for library checkouts. Wait, I totally did that, and I won't apologize. I must confess, I made my own covers. If you get one piece of advice about self-publishing, which you won't, you'll definitely get way more than one piece, totally unsolicited, but if there was an award for most common advice, it'd be this: don't make your own book covers. What most people won't say is why this is a bad idea. Beyond the generic, they look crappy. What is it about a homebrew cover that just doesn't fly? How do people pick them out immediately? What are the mistakes that I made, and how can you avoid repeating them? This is kind of one of my rules in the writing world is I go ahead and make all the mistakes and do all the stupid shit so you don't have to. So right now versus right. The excitement of self-publishing got the best of me more than once. So I'd make something right now instead of making something that was right. An ugly cover is like a crime. Sometimes you'll get away with it in the moment, but there's no such thing as getting away with it forever. Instead of making a cover quickly, make it right. You're self-publishing. Nobody's going to remember if you blew your self-imposed release deadline because it took you a couple extra days to get a good cover. Everybody will remember that cover if it sucks. Another mistake I made, not picking a theme. John Swartzwelder has some fairly boring covers, but he's got a standard, and damn it, 15 or so books in, I can't help but get excited when I see a new one. Amanda Lovelace changes out titles and colors, and other than that, puts out the same cover over and over. Same font, same layout, everything's the same. For a self-published author working in one genre, a certain uniformity isn't the worst idea in the world. If you don't like screwing around with covers, work hard on a single, nice template, change out the title and some colors, and call it a day. Given the choice between 10 unique but ugly covers and 10 samey but decent covers, put me down for decency. Just this once. The tools matter. You can make a cover in Microsoft Publisher, but don't. It's been like 15 years since my first self-pub, so I have an excuse, but you don't. You can jump online and find options that'll give you Photoshop quality in terms of pixels per inch and much better font and design options than Microsoft's design program, which really doesn't even fulfill the aesthetic needs of a B+ lost dog poster. I recommend Photopea, P-E-A. I know it seems like there's a high barrier to entry on some of these programs, but those barriers to entry can also be called competencies, or maybe features of the program required to do decent work. Using Kindle Cover Creator, another mistake. Just don't. The Cover Creator is the most underwhelming feature of publishing on Amazon, and that's a pretty bold statement. I'd love to start an award, like a challenge, to use only the Cover Creator and its built-in assets to create a cover that doesn't suck. If you think those covers look fine, take a cover you designed over there and remake it using a better tool. As you go, you'll tweak a bunch of shit that's not tweakable in the Cover Creator, and you'll see how those little options make all the difference. It's also a red flag for, I'm self-published. Wear your self-pub status as a badge of honor, but don't wave it like a red flag. Another mistake is not evoking the text. When you make your own book cover, you are mega familiar with the book's contents, not just the surface plot level shit. Use this knowledge to create a cover that's enticing and interesting to new readers and also evocative to people who already finished the book. Your understanding is way deeper than that of a hired gun, so capitalize on it. It's one of the few advantages you have over a pro. Mistake: not mimicking good covers. You don't have to use a knockoff cover as your final product, but just like the way you learn storytelling by writing like your favorites, learn how to make covers by designing like your favorites. Find a cover you love and remake it. Again, don't use that as your final product, but as a learning tool. Mistake: looking only to books for inspiration. When I'm stuck, I'll check out the greeting card aisle. Greeting cards have weird layouts, they mess with color in big ways, and they might provide you an inspiration that's unexpected and still pleasing to look at. And they're of similar proportions and dimensions to a paperback book, so you can usually scale a design to still work. T-shirts can work, candy packaging. Look outside the box for ideas. Look outside the book for ideas. And take pictures, save ideas you can come back to later. Next mistake is assuming people are in on the joke. Sometimes I'd make a silly cover for a silly book, which makes sense in a certain way, but in another way it's insane. You could get away with this if your book showed up in a bookstore or a library, because something about a legit binding, an actual physical object you can hold in your hands, something about that works if you have an intentionally bad cover. But online, nobody's gonna know that you know that it looks ridiculous and that this is intentional. Going the shitty on purpose route is a mistake, even if it matches the book's theme. However, John Conrath takes everything I just said and shoves it right back in my stupid face, so what the hell do I know? Another mistake is using unaltered stock images. If you use a stock photo or image, especially a free one, be aware that there's a good chance it's been used before and there's a good chance it'll be used again. If you use a free image, make sure to alter it in some way. Change the color, change the scale of it, crop it, do something so that only someone who peruses a lot of this stuff will recognize the image. For the love of God, don't put something like typewriter or bookshelf into a free picture site and use anything from page 1 of the results. Another mistake is abiding by all the rules. The rules exist for a reason, and a lot of the reasoning behind the current rules of cover design exist because of the ways books function as objects on retail shelves. You're self-publishing, so why bother making something for bookstore shelves where your book will probably never show up? Make something that looks good on a screen. Make something that looks good with a field of white behind it. Look at the colors and fonts on the website you'll use to sell and make something that stands out. If you're going to sell on Amazon, if you're self-publishing on Amazon, make a cover that looks good on Amazon. It makes sense. You're self-publishing, so you don't need to make something that's polite, clean, and generally not disgusting. You can make something weird. You don't have to put a publisher logo on there. You don't have to devote a % of the space to your name, and you don't have to ugly up a nice design with a blurb if you don't want to. Last mistake, listening to people who decree that self-pubs must hire pros. I've experimented with roasting my own coffee, with fixing my own car. I've experimented with a circular saw. I've tried out all kinds of shit way more complicated and with a much higher risk level than making a shitty book cover. No matter how bad you screw up a book cover, you get to hang on to all your fingers. When someone tells you you can't do that when you're discussing a matter of taste, like making your own book cover art, what they're really saying is, I can't do that, or I wouldn't do that. Yeah, you wouldn't. And if you're unwilling to accept that small level of risk, or to understand why someone else might accept that small level of risk, I'm betting that all the pages between your slick, well-designed cover reflect your risk-averse mindset, which means it's boring. You can make your own cover. And yeah, you'll make mistakes, and when your mistakes take the form of art for public consumption, you will hear about those mistakes from people who are not very nice about it. But you'll still have all your fingers, and including the middle ones, which you can use to express exactly how you feel about being bossed around by cowards.